All right, welcome back to Blue City Reviews. Thanks once again for watching. It's about 6 a.m. on a Friday morning. I just watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Not the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix right now. For some reason, it didn't turn up on our Netflix menu until like 4. Maybe I just had to hit the refresh button or something. But I stayed up late to watch it because I'm pumped. I just uploaded a video about an hour ago ranking all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies from my favorite to least favorites, and I like the majority of them. I really do. Even the ones that people lambast, I actually adore. The only ones I dislike are really the beginning and the Leatherface from 2017. Neither of those sit well with me. But for the most part, I'm a huge fan. When this film was first sort of promoted, it came with the bad news that the original directors had been fired and replaced with somebody else, which to me is never a good sign, being a director of micro-budget horror films, but a director nonetheless. That never sits well with me. So I was automatically like, ugh, you know, I'm going to proceed with caution on this one. And then when it was, sort of mentioned that it wasn't going to go into theaters, it's another blow to the sort of anticipation of it, right? Because as a reviewer much better than myself, he has a channel called Sinister Cinema. He mentioned that, these major horror icon names like Freddy and Jason and Chucky should always go into the theater. And I agree. I agree for the most part. They really should. I think they deserve it. They certainly draw a big enough audience even still. It's only poor writing that can really kill these characters, as the Michael Bay remakes of both Friday and Nightmare prove. But back to the film I just watched. Did I enjoy it as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan? Somebody who loves shit like even Texas Chainsaw 3D and The Next Generation. Did I like this? Like is an understatement. My fiance, who's sitting on the couch about 10 feet away eating Gardettos, thinks it's one of the best horror films in the past 20 years. It's too soon for me to say that. I will say that, anybody who's watched my ranking list and is watching this knows that, obviously Tobe Hooper's original is unbeatable. It ranks up there along with like the Boris Karloff Frankenstein and shit like that. It's a masterpiece. But this new movie might beat out 2 as my second favorite. Maybe. I have to rewatch it a couple more times. I really do. And I loved this movie. Not as much as my fiance. Maybe not quite as much. I still maybe might like 2 more. Tobe Hooper's Part 2. But this is fucking outstanding horror. And right before I pushed play, I made the mistake of turning on Facebook, just flipping through it to see if I had any messages. And I saw like 2 or 3 reviews, one after the other. This is the worst fucking thing ever. What? Okay, right off the bat, I didn't watch a trailer for this. Like, ever since Pet Sematary 2019, that remake or redo, whatever you want to call it, those trailers ruined a perfectly good movie, really. So I've sort of avoided trailers since then. So I haven't seen any trailers for this movie. All I've seen is like random stills that scroll by in my feed. But I wonder how much the trailers reveal. You know what? I'll bet the trailers sort of spoil this fucking movie. I bet the trailers reveal, for instance, the bus slaughter, right? I don't know if I would consider this review spoilers, but I would bet those trailers reveal the bus slaughter and a bunch of other key moments. How about the scene in the field with all the sort of dying flowers and the crashed bus? I'll bet that's in there. One of the best Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequences fucking ever, dude. I'll bet that's in the trailers. So going into this blind, I would be willing to place money on, even my thumbs on the fact that it helped me in the experience. Uh, I don't know if I'm going to go into plot. If you just go on the internet and read their summation, that's a legit summation, except for the fact that they describe the youngsters in this film as internet influencers. I mean, they may be, but I don't know that the plot revolves around that. I would say their characters have more of a substantial pull in the script than just showing up in this town to be this internet hype. There's more to it than that. It cuts a little deeper. The characters I loved. My favorite character in a Texas Chainsaw sequel thus far, up until this point, had been Alexandra Daddario in I guess what's called the 3D version. I thought her character was great, and it had layers, and she was a little bit fucking cuckoo, like any Sawyer would be, right? The characters in this dwarf anything in 3D. Definitely the characters in the 2003 version, which everybody, blows. Everybody loves that version, even though Jessica Biel's character is fucking reprehensible and gets all of her friends killed, and this bizarre anti-THC message. Whatever. I like the movie, but her character can fuck off. All of the characters in this movie really resonated with me. They didn't strike me as being hip for the sake of being hip. They were in their place and time, man, as were the Texans in this film. It'd be really easy to pigeonhole Texans. As I said in my summation of the entire series, my last upload, I've been through Texas. There's good people there. I don't like the state. I don't like the vibe of the state. It's very oppressive, and it smells like death. Like, literally, the whole landscape just smells like a fucking slaughterhouse. At least when I drove through the Panhandle, it was difficult for me personally. But the people there were cool, man. So I think that, sort of the modern hipsters and the Texans, which is sort of the crux of the plot, when they clash, it's very realistic. And even things like the Confederate flag are treated with a certain sobriety. Really. I was very impressed. It reminded me of, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the political leanings were just there because they were fucking part of the time, and not because the director, wanted to shove a fucking hose down your throat and turn it on full throttle. I mean, I think I've heard people saying this is like trying to be this millennial thing. No. And it's not anti-millennial either. It's just there because, it's 2022. You're going to ignore the internet? You're going to ignore internet influencers? That would be idiotic. What else to say about this film? Oh, I have a little note written down. Jason Lives. You know the scene in Jason Lives where Jason is just hacking at the gravekeeper's body, and this random character wanders up and sees him and is just spying, and for no reason at all, Jason just turns and looks directly at him like a fucking nightmare, like your worst nightmare. Like, that's the scariest scene in that film. This film does that scenario so much better multiple times, and to its advantage. I would describe this film as a nightmare. I had a car accident about 10 years ago now. Very serious car accident. Don't text and drive. And for about 2 years after that, I'd get these weird twitches when I was in stressful situations. I sort of outgrew it, and it was just a, post-traumatic stress type of thing, right? But every now and then when I get in stressful situations, I still get this twitch. All throughout this movie, I was getting that twitch. Like a dozen times. I'm not saying all this stuff is going to resonate with everybody. Like, you shouldn't go into this thinking, Cole said it's horrifying. It's going to blow our socks off. For me, this fucking material and the way these stalk and slash scenes were staged was incredible. Top notch. A+++. Who's this director? I've got it pulled up here. Bear with me. I think his name is David Blue Garcia. Oh, yeah. David Blue Garcia. Yeah, man. I'm going to follow everything else this guy does. Let's see. The cast, Elsie Fisher stands out as Leela. Wow. It reminded me of myself at that age. Outstanding performance. One of my favorite Chainsaw characters. Who is Leatherface in this? Fuck, I can't find his name here. He's really good too. And I got to be honest, that first scene when they first reveal him, I'm like, ugh, is this going to be as bad as I've been hearing? No. No, they're going somewhere with it. You know, everything here is driving to a very specific place, and that is sheer and utter blood-drenched terror. I do have one slight complaint. And it's not slight because it involves Sally Hardesty, arguably the most important character in the entire fucking franchise aside from Leatherface, right? This film could have done without her character. And that's not to say that I regret her character being in it. It's not that. The actress does a great job. She looked like she'd been baking under the Texas sun for decades. The best replacement, rest in peace, you know, for Marilyn Burns, available, I'm sure. She did great. But I wonder, you could have put some other survivor character in there and it would have resonated. I wonder, what does the film gain by having this be Sally Hardesty? Not much. And in fact, it almost, when she's on screen, it drops the film to a B-movie level, a good B-movie level, like a top-notch direct-to-video, late 90s, early 2000s, direct-to-DVD type thing level. But it drops it down there slightly because it's not quite up to the standard of the rest of the fucking material. Now, it's not the horrible Halloween 2018 ripoff everybody's claiming it was. No, this is not a Jamie Lee Curtis thing. Fuck off. There was another reason for bringing her back for this specific tone and vibe. I think they could have accomplished it a different way, though. You know, I don't know what having Sally Hardesty in this movie really adds to it because all of the other shit in here is so strong, right? Man, how long can I blow this movie? I think I'm going to wrap it up. I think I've hit all the beats I can, coming up on 13 minutes here. And I'm just sure. Because whenever I love something, doesn't matter if it's, you know, fucking I, Frankenstein or Star Trek 5. Everybody else fucking hates it. So, there you go. What I will say in closing is, I can remember distinctly, the feeling I had when I first saw Evil Dead 2 on a fucking shitty VHS tape, back when you had to rent VCRs like fucking, what, 10, 20 bucks for one night. I just fell in love with life all over again as a kid watching that. People have this certain idea of what horror can be, and they have no clue unless they've watched a lot of it. How amazing the good ones are. This is one of the good ones. This gave me that feeling. You know, I turned off all the lights, and granted, you know, I treated myself right. I set the vibe for it. But that's what you need to do. You can't go into this thinking it's going to fucking suck. I love this movie. I wouldn't say it's as good as Evil Dead 2. I'm just saying I felt like a kid again, man. This is amazing. And according to my fiance, the best horror film in decades. Not just the best Chainsaw, the best horror film. I'm going to watch it a few more times and decide. But thanks for your view. I've ranted long enough. I hope, if you don't enjoy it as much as me, I hope you enjoy it a little, because it's not to say it's complete shit. Come on. Fuck off. All right. Cheers. See you soon.